The NFL trade deadline is finally here, just a couple hours away. So coming up on today's show, I'm going to go over 10 players that you Vikings fans need to keep your eyes out on. It's going to be a hectic day, but I can't wait to dive into it. So I got 10 players heading your guys' way where I think GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah could be picking up the phone and trading for at the NFL trade deadline. But before we get into that, I'm about to give you guys 10 players. You guys just got to give me one. Name one player that the Vikings need to trade for down below in the comment section. Is it a cornerback? Is it a defensive lineman? You guys let me know your thoughts. Maybe if you guys could predict a move for the Vikings today, just comment your thoughts down below in the comment section. Now, what's key about trading for players is obviously the contract. And right now, according to Over the Cap, the Vikings do have $7.9 million remaining. So clearly they have some room to make a move for, whether that's not a big-time player, but they can definitely bring a couple of key pieces in, maybe at the cornerback position, defensive line, or even maybe interior offensive linemen. So let's just dive right into it. First name up here, we're going to talk about Marshon Lattimore. Now, the Saints yesterday did fire their head coach, Dennis Allen, and it could be a fire sale coming to New Orleans. Now, Marshon Lattimore is a hell of a player. He's still one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL, but he has definitely taken a step back from what he once was back in his heyday. But the biggest kicker with Marshon Lattimore is the contract. He is on the books for this season, remaining $14.6 million. 2025, he is getting paid $31.4 million, and 2026, $28.5 million. Quick little side note here: the Saints are one of the worst ran teams in the NFL. The fact that these are his cap hits for an aging cornerback is a joke. But positive for the Vikings, if you were going to have to trade for Lattimore, I'm assuming he's going to go for maybe a fifth, sixth-round pick. Honestly, I feel like a sixth-round pick could get it done. And then maybe you could work out something where the Saints take on most of his salary, because the Saints are going to have to make moves. They are in salary cap hell. They kept on, pushing that credit card year after year after year, and now they're finally going to have to pay it off. So I could see them being very aggressive in trading Lattimore. But why does he make sense for the Vikings? Well, even though that contract's brutal, having him on the books for the next 2 seasons will be huge, because you are losing Gilmore, you are losing Murphy, you are losing Shaq Griffin in free agency. So if the Vikings kind of want to make an early move for the next 2 seasons, maybe Lattimore could be that guy. And also, hypothetically, if the Vikings let Sam Darnold walk and you have J.J. McCarthy still on his rookie deal, you can really stack this roster around him. And it would be also huge. You get, Brian Flores, another playmaker in that secondary. But I would be very wary of trading for Lattimore. This would be a move where, if I get that notification, oh, snap, the Vikings are sending a 5th-round pick for Marshon Lattimore, yes, I would be fired up about it. But we would need to know the details. Like, are the Saints paying any of this salary? How is it really going to work out? But this is his base salary for the next 3 seasons. Very, very key information right here. But a cornerback that I think would fit the Vikings' plans a little bit better than a guy like Lattimore, how about a Greg Newsome II? Now, Greg Newsome is a very intelligent football player. He came from Northwestern, and he's a very versatile player as well. He can play in the slot, play outside. He can even play some makeshift safety. So he would be a very, very good scheme fit with what Brian Flores likes to do. And his numbers for the season so far, you guys see him at the top of your screen: 3 pass breakups, 20 tackles, no tackles for losses, and no interceptions. But this guy, he's not like a complete needle mover, but he would definitely get you guys more talent in that secondary. And I think the Vikings could possibly swing for a guy like that. But another player in the AFC North, what about a little B.J. Hill? Now, I think this is a little more unlikely than it was a couple of weeks ago, as the Bengals, they're trying to scrap back into the playoff picture in the AFC. And we also got a report that they're looking at defensive linemen to trade for. So why would they give up, one of their better interior tackles? But this is a guy, again, he's not going to be a needle mover, but he's just going to be a guy that gets in there. He can give Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Bullard a break. But, again, this would probably be a 6th or 7th round, pick swap, or it wouldn't be the Vikings giving up a whole lot of draft capital. But, definitely a guy that could be dealt, in the next couple of hours. But let's focus in on this guy here a little bit, Calais Campbell. And, the more I think about it, and the more I really dive into Calais and what he would mean for the Minnesota Vikings, I'm going to say this right now: he is my top trade target today. Like, I will be ecstatic that the Vikings can pull this off for their 38-year-old defensive lineman, but he is still very, very productive. And I think he would be a player you pick up where he's obviously not going to be an every down defensive lineman. I think he would be a guy where, big time spots like 3rd and 8, he's in the game. Fourth quarter drives, he is in the game because he is still very, very effective. And, I'll ask you guys this real quick. What is more impressive? LeBron James playing as long as he has with the amount of tread he has on his tires in the NBA, or this man playing interior defensive lineman at the age of 38? I mean, both of these guys have absolutely dominated Father Time, but this is my top trade target for the Minnesota Vikings. I would love it. Really a hell of a football player. Also, he's a great locker room guy to have as well. So, Calais Campbell, the Vikings can pull this move off today. Again, Kwesi, I will be giving you all types of thanks here on the show. But number 5 for me, I know this is every Vikings fan's, dream, but this is incredibly unlikely, but I still want to discuss it. Now, let's just say hypothetically, the Giants are really just going to go full fire sale mode. And they're trading Azeez Ojulari, they're trading Dexter Lawrence. If the Vikings would get Dexter Lawrence, this would be absolutely unreal. I would actually start talking Super Bowl here on the channel. I think this defense, if you would add Dexter Lawrence and then Cashman coming back from injury, I mean, they would be the best defense in the National Football League, I think by a wide margin, probably them or the Chiefs. But I would definitely have to roll with the Vikes, and you would actually have a blue chipper because that's the one thing the Vikings don't have defensively. They got a bunch of B+. I would probably give, Jonathan Grenard the closest thing we have to a blue chipper. But, man, Dexter Lawrence, if you add him to this group, I would be absolutely thrilled. But, again, it's extremely unlikely. But you never know. If you send the Giants, let's just say 2 firsts and a third, maybe they consider it. But I'll ask you guys this. What would you give up to trade for Dexter Lawrence? I would give up 2 firsts and a third in a heartbeat, but even then, I don't think it's that likely that that is enough to get it done. Honestly, I think the Giants would shut down any trade offers they would get for Lawrence because they probably view him as a foundational piece for this franchise moving forward. But you guys let me know your thoughts. What would you give up for Dexter Lawrence? Now, we'll dive into 5 more trade targets here in a second. But first off, I do want to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is Game Time. And Game Time is a sweet deal going on right now for Vikings fans. If you guys download the app today, and when you're making your first purchase, if you guys plug in promo code CHATSPORTS, you guys will get $20 off. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Now, Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And there's a pretty cool game coming to U.S. Bank Stadium in about 5 weeks from now when Kirk Cousins makes his return to Minneapolis. So if you guys want to get $20 off there and you guys haven't taken advantage of this deal, please download Game Time. Give them a look. They're my favorite ticket purchasing app out there, and they have a sweet deal going on right now where if you guys plug in promo code Chat Sports after you create your account, you guys will get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Chat Sports for $20 off. That's CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. But shout out to Game Time for sponsoring today's show. What time is it? It is game time. All right, we got 5 more trade targets. Then we'll get on out of here. But how about Adam Thielen? Now, I just wanted to include this just to kind of joke around and talk about it. Now, if the Vikings had an injury to, let's just say, Jalen Naylor, Brandon Powell, both those guys get ruled out for the season, then I'll be absolutely all in on trading for Thielen. But, I do think this is very unlikely. I love what the Vikings, receiving group has done this season. And plus, you bring in Thielen, we've been saying this whole, past couple of weeks, we need to get Addison the football more. I am sure Adam Thielen coming into this organization would, obviously take some targets away from Addison. But, again, I think this is unlikely, but just kind of want to joke around about bringing number 19 back. Maybe this offseason. Maybe that's when the Vikings, have Thielen retire as a Minnesota Viking. But how about Raiders defensive tackle Adam Butler, who has actually had a pretty solid year for Las Vegas, even though it is an absolute dumpster fire there. They did just clear out a lot of coaches, including their offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. But, I do think the Raiders could be big-time sellers. And, again, this would just be a depth piece for the Vikings. It should add just a little more talent next to Harrison Phillips. But, this would be a move. It's not going to be a needle mover. But, again, I would absolutely be thrilled if this is the case. Now, we did get a report about Jaycee Horn from Diana Rossini that they are not interested in trading JC. And, from the Vikings' perspective here, I think JC would be a hell of a pickup. He's only 24 years old, and he would be a guy, even if you have to give up a first and a third-round pick for him, I would do it because this would give you a true blue chipper in the secondary. And, he plays a very aggressive, physical style of game at that cornerback spot. He would be a great scheme fit with Brian Flores and what he likes to do. And if you would land him, man, oh man, it would be we would be talking Super Bowl here on the channel, and we'd also be talking Super Bowl if they would trade for this guy. How about DJ Reed? Honestly, I think DJ Reed's a top 10 cornerback in the league. I don't think the Jets are going to trade him. Now, maybe if the Jets lost last Thursday night to the Houston Texans, maybe he would be more available than he is. But again, I don't think this is too likely, but I would love DJ Reed, man. Top 10 cornerback. I honestly think it's overshadowed a little bit by Sauce Gardner. That's a big reason why he doesn't, big reason why he doesn't get a lot of the national media love that a guy like Sauce gets. I mean, Sauce made 2 All-Pros the last couple of seasons, but Sauce is definitely taking a step back this year, and DJ Reed is definitely taking a step forward. Now, last one we'll talk about. This is another pipe dream for Vikings fans, but what about a little Jeffery Simmons? And I'm a big fan of Jeffery Simmons. He's one of the most dominant D tackles in the National Football League. But again, this is unlikely. I don't know if the Titans would move off him, but again, this is a guy I would give up 2 first-round picks for. Vikings are in a really great spot where they can be aggressive, because I think a lot of these free agent additions that you've had over the last couple of years, like Van Ginkel, Cashman, like Gernard, like they're almost outperforming their contracts. So even if you would have to overpay for a guy like Simmons, I think it would work out. You would get a blue chipper on this defense, very similar to Dexter Lawrence, but Simmons doesn't impact the game as much as Sexy Dexy does over there for New York. But Simmons is still a hell of a player, and I would be thrilled if the Vikings trade for him. I mean, that would be an absolute blockbuster trade. You would have an all-pro caliber defender on your defensive line. But hey, big day in this country, big day for the Vikings. Also, the college football rankings come out today, so I appreciate you guys taking your time out of this busy day to watch today's show. We will be going live here on the channel in a couple of hours, but if you guys made it to the end of today's show, just give me a skull down below in the comments section, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much for watching today's program. As always, Skol Vikes, baby.